The dating world is crazy right now. That's certainly no secret. But the consequence of that, or one of them, is that we end up getting a bit desperate. We end up getting a bit overenthusiastic when we meet someone who we kind of click with. And we overemphasize things that might not be that important. And we can forget about looking for the real essential things. So I just want to run over a few little tips to help keep your eyes on some important elements to make sure that you don't end up with the wrong kind of person. Someone who might seem like a great person, someone who's attractive and says all these really wonderful things, but then maybe a couple months in and they're, very boring and rude. Now, one of the most important points I want to bring up today is finding out what this person actually cares about. What are their passions? Now, a lot of us tend to think, what do I care about? Oh, I care about this social cause. I care about, this political viewpoint. A lot of people tend to bring up abstract social issues or views of how the world should be when they think about, what do I care about? But that's not really what that means, because someone can talk about, the world should be this, and I've got a grand view about how the world should be, but what they actually spend their days doing is going to work at a job they don't care about and coming home and binge watching Netflix all day. This is not an interesting person. Interesting people do interesting things. And this is what we tend to forget about, is that to care is an action. And that's what you need to be looking for, is what does this person actually spend their time doing? What are they interested in? What do they care about? To care, it means to spend their time doing something. Now, I'm not saying they need to work at a job that they love, but if they do work at a job that's just for the money, then what do they spend their free time doing? Is it just sitting around binge watching a show that's just light entertainment? Or are they going out on a hiking group on the weekends? Or are they trying to learn how to paint or learn how to speak a new language so they can go and visit that country? What are they spending their time doing? That shows you what they actually care about. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody and I ask them, what do you do? What do you care about? And they say, I'm a writer. And I say, that's amazing. What are you working on? And they say, I've never written anything. And I say, no, I don't mean what have you finished? I mean, what are you currently working on? Are you writing anything? Are you writing at all? And they say, no, I haven't even started. We can say we're a writer, but that doesn't mean we are actually a writer. That's the difference between a passion and a dream. So people can talk a lot of nonsense. So try and find out what they actually spend their time doing. If they say they're a writer, ask them, when do you write? What is it that you're writing exactly? Do you just practice? Are you actually plotting? Are you making characters? What are you spending your time doing? And if they say, I'm not actually writing, then that means they're not actually a writer. They don't actually care about it. It's just a dream. Why this matters so much is because you want to find someone who is driven and interested in their own lives. That is someone who has a strong sense of who they are, as opposed to someone who is floating through life, someone who doesn't really know who they want to be or what they want to do with themselves, and may never decide. They might just keep drifting through life, which is a sad thing, but it definitely happens, and you do not want to end up wasting your time with someone who's just drifting through life. You want someone who is driven to make their life good, driven to make their lives interesting, who has strong passions, strong cares, and you look for that care in their actions. Now, here are 3 other tips that are a lot more lightweight, a lot more just sort of random tips. Something I've noticed is that a lot of guys, when they meet a girl on a dating app or something like that, they will chat with her for a long time on that dating app, and eventually she will lose interest and leave. Now, the thing to do is when you match with someone or you're texting them, be sure to set up a time to meet or talk on the phone. I would suggest if you met on a dating app, just make it a phone call. Try and set that up quickly. Get to that point quickly so that you can actually get some in-person connection going. I mean, even if it's over the phone, it's a hell of a lot better than just texting, because messaging like that, it's you don't get that connection the way you do over the phone, or especially not in person, and their interest will die out quickly. You will come across as passive if you just are texting away, talking about inane things. So be sure when you connect, try and lead into, some sort of phone call or an in-person meetup. Something else to keep in mind is what they're like between dates. Like if they're very warm and personable and there's good connection when you're on a date, but kind of cold and indifferent between dates. They don't really read your texts. They give very brief, very small responses to your messages. They aren't very enthusiastic in their language. They aren't very playful. They aren't sending little emojis or whatever. They're not very connective in text or on the phone. But in person, suddenly that changes. There's this continuity shift that happens. I would pay attention to that because it could signal a few things. One, it could signal sort of a fake persona when they're actually with you. It could signal that they're playing many other guys as well. Maybe they're on many other dates and they're just sort of trying out a ton of different guys to see who they like the most, or maybe to see who has the most money or something. It doesn't come across as an honest, genuine person. Anytime there's that emotional discontinuity, I would put this not as a red flag, but just as sort of an orange flag, somewhere around there. It's something to keep your eye out for. Because it could be easily explained as she's just shit at texting, which a lot of people are not very good at conveying emotional tones in their texts. Could be that, but it's just something to keep your eye out for, especially if they pretend like nothing had happened. If they act like they haven't been distant and cold over the phone or on text between dates, and then all of a sudden the charm kicks back in when they're in person. That's weird. And lastly, something to pay attention to is whether or not you're the one always putting in the emotional labor. If you're the one who's always checking in with her, you're always the one to send a text, you're always the one to follow up with, setting up another date, or showing enthusiasm, or checking in on just how she's doing. If you're the one who always has to be the one to apologize, or is the one to take accountability for a misunderstanding, or being a little bit late, or whatever it might be, whereas they aren't. If you're the one who brings the intimate energy, if you're the one who, initiates physical contact, or if you're the one who makes compliments, if you're the one who is putting in that emotional energy into your interactions, that's definitely something to be aware of. It can feel like there's back and forth when, if you are to give a compliment and then she goes, oh yeah, and you as well, you're handsome too, or something like that. If she responds in kind immediately after you initiate it, it can feel like, okay, there is a back and forth here. But pay attention to, on the whole, are you the one who is checking in? Are you the one who's, creating physical contact, or giving compliments, or creating these moments of emotional connection? Because that to me would mean you're the one who is doing the emotional labor. You're the one who's actually building this connection, building the relationship. And this can signal a one-sided emotional dynamic, and that's definitely not a good thing. Now, what prompted me making this video was that I've been working on a free downloadable guide for you that is all about helping you get past the anxiety, the overthinking, the uncertainty that all comes with texting women. Because when you're texting women, it is really easy to overthink every little text you're going to send them. If you find yourself rewriting texts multiple times, if you find yourself anxious about what she's going to say in response when you send a text, if you find yourself regretting sending the text, which is why I wrote this guide, so that you can text women with confidence, with certainty in yourself, and not feel like your whole self-worth and your whole dating future rests on her liking that one text. Now, it'll be on my website when I'm done with it for free, or if you're on my email list already, I'll just send it to you. So if you just want to get that guide immediately when it comes out, just be sure to sign up to my email list, and I'll send it to you. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. Like it if you liked it, and I guess I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.